right. So good morning, Michiana and Get Inspired Facebook. I'm Diane Bennett with Inspired Homes and RE/MAX 100, and we are on Friday Morning Life Inspired. And so our guest today is Peter Rienks. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you, Diane.
Glad to have you today.
Glad to be here.
So we always want to explain to the Facebook crowd what Life Inspired Stories are all about. Basically, life was going along, and then there was like a ... trajectory moment that changed things, and now you're living an inspired life. And you have actually not one but two stories you kind of want to share with us today, right?
Yeah. You know, when I heard about this and what you're doing and God inspired and where's God intervening in your life, I really think that God inspired, God working in your life is a culmination of events, right? From that moment that you accept Him as your Savior to the moment I met my wife.
Wow.
And when we first started having children, and just everyone, I have 3 boys. I love them, and we're not done probably.
Oh,
so,
awesome! Good to hear.
Yeah,
all right, I heard that, Kate.
Yeah.
Are you watching?
I'd love to have 10 kids, you know,
wow.
12, bring them all on. But
that's awesome.
We're going to have as many as the Lord will let us have.
Wow.
But anyway, that's not what this is about. But God inspired moments in my life. You know, I think one special moment I think about 4 years ago, our middle child, Harrison, he's 4 years old now. But when my wife was 10 weeks pregnant, in that first ultrasound that they did, they noticed his brain was covered with cysts all over his brain. There are water pockets developing on the brain. And what that is it's a sign of Down syndrome. And they had told us to begin preparing to have a Down syndrome child. And, you know, we were shocked by it. It just was something that
not what you're thinking
not
when
what
you're a
we were
young
thinking,
couple, right?
You know, and we had one really healthy child at that point, and it just wrecked us, and we were scared of the unknown. We didn't know. And for those out there listening, one thing that's common out there in the world is that at that point, when in that 10, 12-week time frame, when they get that diagnosis for Down syndrome or some special needs, is the point where the family or the woman would choose to abort the child. And
you guys didn't want to do that?
That was absolutely off the table. It was never an option. We never even thought about it. But knowing that this is the point where a lot of families and women choose to terminate that life was really sad. And so we had friends and our small group and our family and just everybody praying for that little baby in the womb. And we, as the weeks went on, just had a very calm peace that passes all understanding.
Oh,
and
does that.
As wrecked and scared as we were okay, and we were okay to have a special needs baby, and if that's what God wanted, like, we were going to make the most of it, and we would love and cherish that child no matter what. And so 6 weeks later, just through this whole process, we're praying for the baby and praying that for whatever that looks like, raising that child. We went back in for the next ultrasound, and we were doing some more tests on the baby. There's another test that you can do to confirm what stage of the Down syndrome. And when they did that ultrasound, all the cysts were gone off of the brain, and he was perfectly healthy, and every single test for Down syndrome came back negative. And it was like, oh my gosh, like, we have a perfectly healthy baby boy in the womb. And come to find out, and we'd kind of known it during the process, but those Down syndrome results at that early stage can be a false positive so many times. And it's like 50% of the positives are actually negative, or some crazy statistics.
Wow.
And so just through all that, life is something that I've always been burdened for, and just I help the Pregnancy Care Center
In
in
Niles,
Niles, and
yeah.
I love that ministry and what they're doing there. But
Right.
just thinking about all the families that are struggling with something like that and going through that, and he's 4 years old. He's perfectly healthy. He loves playing sports, and we love all our children. But there's a real special God moment there and how he
Right.
intervened with that.
Wow.
So it was great.
Very cool. Very cool. And then you've had another thing that's gone on with your career in the last year.
Yeah. So God is always at work, and I believe that's an ongoing display of His grace and sanctification, how He continues to redeem us.
Just walk in life.
Yeah, and I would encourage those out there listening. If you're not seeing God at work, just wait. Keep praying for it. He will. He'll intervene, and maybe it's not always a clear voice, but it's something. There will be answered prayer. You will see Him at work, and so this last year, had I been burdened to see more out of business in terms of kingdom building during 8 to 5. Not just on the weekend, not just after hours, but while I'm in my office, in that 8 to 5 moment. What am I doing to further the kingdom? And
now you had a great job that you loved. You were very happy at. You were successful. They were successful with your work there, and you still like them today. And
I love my former employer. I had been there for 8 years. Had some really neat success there, and
they contributed to who you are.
They really helped shape my career into the person I am today. I'm thankful for that experience, that time there. But God was calling me for more. He was calling me into a different leadership position where I could really make an impact on the culture, and so He led me to Selge Construction, is where I work today as the director of business development, and I love it. I work for a very godly man named Marv Selge, who's extremely generous, but also encourages us to live out our faith at work and looking for those opportunities where maybe we can contribute to somebody's inspired moment on our crews and out in the field. And so in addition to that, there was another parallel path while I'm looking for God at work in that 8 to 5, where we were able to help bring Christian Business Fellowship to Michiana. It's a business networking group up in Chicago, and with Diane's help, we were able to plant the Michiana chapter.
And we meet next Wednesday, so if you guys want information on it.
We meet the third Wednesday of every month. And so that's a really neat network where Christian business leaders are getting together to get some very good practical teaching, but also encourage one another to pray over each other's business issues, to hold each other accountable. And it's really neat to see God at work there. So, look for God at work in just everything that you're doing, and it's not just one moment. It should be. You should be able to look back and count, dozens of moments where God has intervened daily, weekly. What is God doing in your life right now?
Right. So we have the privilege at Inspired that we call each other every morning for huddle, and we start out with, what are you grateful for? Is there something that God did? So it's
great.
It's so fun. If you just look for Him, He's all around us. He's just doing stuff all the time. So
celebrate answered prayer. Celebrate safe travels and everything. Those are all answered prayer. That's got to work in your life.
So thank you so much for sharing,
thank you,
Peter.
Diane.
Glad that you could be here. So if you guys want to ask more questions of Peter, you can message us right here, and we can get you in touch with Peter. He'd probably love to talk to you about what God's doing in his life over coffee, or you can call, text us at Inspired Homes too, and we'd be happy to talk to you about getting to be life inspired. So thanks again for having us.
Diane.
Watch us again next week, every Friday at 9:30 here on Facebook. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.